guy stepped out of bounds. Bobby based to the side and then about his head. First name is kept.
They had a funny commercial. It said State Farm.
Ready? Okay, Colleen.
The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town board. The public is invited to participate at the items marked on the agenda, public comment. During that segment of the meeting, if you have a question or comment for the supervisor, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome.
I'd like to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all our brave men and women fighting all over the world for democracy and freedom, and for our first responders. Thank you. So I need a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Opposed? None. Okay.
What is that?
Alan, you missed one.
Oh, I did? I didn't know there was two of them.
A motion to approve minutes from the December 9th, 2019 Town Board meeting.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So motioned. Motion to approve minutes from the December 9th, 2019 public hearing.
Yes. Second.
All in favor? Don't fight, guys.
Plenty for everybody.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Authorize payments of bills in the amount of $389,214.64. I need a motion to pay the bills, gentlemen.
Pay the bills. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just a comment. Do we get both of them now?
Two. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah.
There's probably two you got to.
So this was the distribution report. Grand total, yeah, $389. I don't know if she separate them, but I believe that's correct. I could check with her.
Yeah.
Any comments on the agenda? No comments on the agenda? Any presentations tonight? No presentations. Report of the department, so I have a state of the town address. If the board don't mind, I'll go to the podium. Is that okay with you all? Thank you. Yes or no?
Tell me, 'cause we should.
Go ahead.
I did it last time, so. This time.
You have to make sure the microphone's on.
Well, there's two abstracts right there.
Right.
So it's close. We'll get on these, yes.
What time's it get?
I could start. Thank you. Supervisor's report on the state of the town of Marlborough 2019 to 2020. On behalf of the town board, I would like to take this opportunity to assess the work accomplished in the previous year and outline our tasks for 2020. We're talking about infrastructure improvements with the help of the town of Marlborough Highway Department and members of Labor Local 17. We were able to complete the installation of sidewalks on the eastern side of West Street from Western Avenue to Marlborough Free Library. This work was funded through a member item from the late Assemblyman Frank Scartatos. Thanks to funding from the Assemblyman Scartatos and the late Senator William Larkin, the town was able to finish the installation of the first phase of the water extension along the 9W in Marlborough. This will help existing businesses along the corridor and attract new growth. Working with Senator Skoufis and Assemblyman Jacobson in the town, negotiated with New York State DOT to receive over $6 million to resurface Route 9W from the Orange County line to Highland, improve safety issues in the Hamlet area, starting in 2020. The town worked with Ulster County Planning and DPW to prepare for safety improvements for Western Avenue from the hamlet of Marlborough up to Marlborough High School. The town was also party to negotiation agreement with New York State DOT and CSX to upgrade the emergency crossing at Dock Road in Milton and build a new pedestrian crossing for the use of Milton Landing Park. The cost will be borne by the state and not the town of Marlborough. The town highway department began grading work on the improvements for the Milton train station park. A new concrete floor was poured at the Marlborough transfer station and 2 new overhead doors were installed. The town has signed a lease with the Marlborough Market to enable the public to utilize part of their parking lot for municipal parking. The town is fortunate that local business owners are willing to help provide this service for our community. Talking about economic development, the town is constantly looking for ways to broaden the tax base by making town more inviting to businesses. Besides the extension of infrastructure improvements, the town board adopted new design standards for the Route 9W corridor development. Town government works tirelessly with Ulster County Planning, IDA, and representatives of New York State DOT and Central Hudson to facilitate movement on projects like the recently completed pod storage facility or the Chestnut Petroleum Dunkin' Donuts. Quality of life. The town board recognizes the importance of keeping our sense of small town community, enhancing cultural opportunities, and finding ways to create in our beautiful natural surrounding. We are grateful to have worked on some projects that we think help achieve these aims. Tom Vac, the volunteer committee, worked hard to come up with a design for a community and recreation center that would meet the town's needs. We had a $250,000 member item from the late Assemblyman Skartatos, but need more monies for the projects. Thanks to Senator Skoufis and Assembly Jacobson, $800,000 in member items was secured to put towards the project cost and the rehabilitation of the building. The contract with the state agency is in process. Milton Landing South Pier construction. Thanks to the volunteer grant writing efforts of Rosemary Wine, the town received a grant for the state CFA for $313,000. The town board agreed to bond for $1.2 million, went out to bid, and contracted with a construction firm to begin the process to construct the pier. Based on previous engineering and permitting work will begin this year, 2020. All-inclusive playground at Cluchance Park. The playground committee decided on a playground manufacturer, and a contract was signed to begin work. Thanks to volunteers, the old playground was removed and the site prepared, and fundamental equipment was installed before the weather got too cold. We hope to begin work in the spring and finish the project by the summer of 2020. The Tilcon Christian Hill Trail. The town signed a new release that would guarantee public use of the Tilcon Trail property for 25 years. This would enable the town to apply for grants and begin trail development. Cluchance Park, we were able to improve parking and ADA areas, as well as improve lighting, including the installation of LED lights under the pavilion. We're able to improve the South Ball Field drainage thanks to a grant from the late Assemblyman Scartatos. Keeping taxes down. The town board is committed to finding ways to keep taxes down within the mandated 2% cap. That requires vigilant use of monies and resources. Some innovative ways to bring additional monies into the town included allowing the installation of a town cell tower at the Highway Department located on Route 9W in Milton. The lease is for $1,800 a month to the town. If you add that to the lease on the cell tower on the town's Milton's water tank and the mini tower located on Route 9W in Marlboro, the town is receiving $43,200 in yearly revenue. The town also did an RFP to lease land at the town transfer station at the solar farm. We are in the process of establishing a lease with the interested solar company. Stay tuned. The town has been helped by a $50,000 member item from Senator Skoufis for a new police car. I'd like to acknowledge, thanks to our town board members, our highway and water department, and the extraordinary staff at the town government, the town has been able to offer quality service and accomplish improvements, all while keeping taxes down. Another important part of the money-saving equation is the many volunteers who serve on committees, boards, and our fire department. We cannot emphasize enough how important community involvement is. Lastly, the town is dependent on the good working relationship we have established with our government officials. Last year, we lost a good friend, Senator William Larkin. Senator Larkin was an example of someone who served the community his entire life. Like the late Assemblyman Frank Scartatos, we will continue to benefit from the monies he secured to address many of Marlboro's needs. Senator Larkin will be missed, but not forgotten. We are fortunate that we have new representatives that are already working very hard to help the people of Marlboro. Senator James Skoufis, Assemblyman Jonna Jacobson, and Ulster County Executive Pat Ryan. With their help, we will continue these important initiatives that will move Marlboro forward and provide the necessary service to improve all aspects of our continuous, I knew I was going to mess up on this one, constituents' lives. And respectfully, Al Lanzetta, and once again, I'd like to thank the town board for all of these great accomplishments, highway and water department, and our town government. Thank you very much.
Okay, try. It was great.
Yeah. I think we went and did the abstract, but we didn't sign it. We paid the bills on the first one, but we didn't sign it, so we're signing it tonight. Okay.
Just approve the right amount.
Tom?
Building Department, Building Inspector Report, month end December 2019. Certificate of Occupancy 9, Request for Information 15, Building Inspections 7, Fire Inspections 10, Fire Calls 1, Stop Work Orders 1, Order to Remedy 8, Complaints 20, Burn Permits issued 10, Building Permits, Additions, Renovations 5, Burning Permits 10, Electrical 2, Sheds 3, Solar Panels 1, Total Permits 21, estimated cost of building $187,758. Fees collected, Certificate of Occupancy 1550, Permit Extensions 181150, Building Permits 172450, Request for Information 1500, Fire Inspections 750, Burn Permits 50 for a total of 7386. Total miles 1611, total gas usage 101.
Any questions for Tom? Tom, I want to extend an invitation to you as the legislator. Anytime you want to come up, or once a month, or I know you're a busy guy, so and
got it.
give the town a perspective of what's happening up in Kingston.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take you up.
Chief.
Activity summary for the month of December 2019 for the Police Department.
Here it is.
Personal injury motor vehicle accidents, 8. Fatal, 0. Property damage accidents, 31, for a total of 39 for the month. Summonses issued, vehicle and traffic, 145. Parking violations, 43. Complaint activity for the month, total blotter entries, 951. Total arrests, 17. Telephone calls handled, 1,869. Overtime for the month, for payrolls, 25 and 26. Full-time dispatchers, 16.5 hours. Part-time dispatchers, 40 hours. Police mileage, 13,611 miles, with a fuel consumption of 1,210.916 gallons. Respectfully.
Any questions for the chief?
Parking violations, those from the storm?
Some from the storm, mostly King Street.
Okay, because that's considerably up from,
Some from the snow. Yeah, the issues with parking on King Street have reached an all-time high, so we've been concentrating on the enforcement. Obviously, with bricks being open, it is becoming an issue. So a majority of those tickets are that, but there were some from the snow ordinance.
okay.
Have we seen anything from the bail reform? Any issues?
Do we have a few hours to talk about it?
Well, I understand.
How about locally, that have you allowed them?
Yes. Well, yes, locally, nobody goes to jail anymore. Every arrest that we make, if it was arraigable before, only gets arraigned now if it's required for an order of protection or if it's a refusal for DWI. That's the only two reasons we'll do an arraignment, but obviously no bail will be set on either
Just
one.
getting an appearance ticket.
They're all just getting appearance tickets, yeah. We're still in the process of working out details, but I can tell you, we've only been doing it by the law for 18 days since the 1st of January. However, we started on December the 4th at the request of the DA's office. And since December the 4th, the amount of man-hours that have gone into complying with the requirements for the new bail discovery are immense. And I really don't see how we're going to be able to keep up with it. But the attitude in the department is we got to do it, and we're going to continue to do it, and we're going to do it the best we can. Obviously, I'm going to look to the town board for suggestions, or I will provide suggestions to see what we can do to make adjustments. But for now, we are chugging along and still trying to nail out the actual process of doing that discovery, because it's new for everybody.
They are trying to do something.
Correct. There has been pushback on the bail discovery reform, both from the governor himself now and other important figures in the political world. However, everything that I'm hearing, you're going to see reform in the bail side, not on the discovery side. So if something does come out of the new legislative session, you're going to see it on the bail side, where the judges, more than likely, the judge will have more power to be able to set bail on more than just the few particular crimes that they've listed right now. But I do believe discovery is going to stay the way it is. And to be honest with you, yes, we're letting people go, and yes, that's going to create a problem. I do have issue with that. But internally, that's not a problem. Internally is the attempt to keep up with.
They're listening, they're listening.
They are listening, so I'm in big trouble now.
Very appropriate.
I carry a chisel with me, just in case. But discovery is not going to change. From everything that I'm hearing, discovery is not going to change, and that burden is still going to be on the department and its officers, and that's the part what we're struggling with. Yeah, we're not happy with the bail reform.
Yep.
It does tie our hands. In my opinion, victims are going to be continued to be victimized. I think crime is going to go up, but only time is going to tell that, and that's my personal opinion.
Jerry, can you explain to some of the people that might not know when you're saying what the work you have to do and the time frame you have to do it in discovery?
Yeah, absolutely. The new discovery law requires that we provide basically all the evidence that we have in a criminal case to the defendant within 14 days of his arraignment. So in layman's terms, you get arrested on a Monday, I have 14 days to give you every piece of evidence that we have that we would use against you in court. That's inclusive of video, whether we maintain it or make it, or whether it's out in public. That's statements, lab results, radio transmissions, MDD data, NISPIN information, officers' training records and certifications. It just, the list goes on and on and on and on. Whereas previously, they used to get that after a battle in court. They were always entitled to it, never entitled to it within the time frame. And that's the part that's killing most
So there's not a
departments.
request for certain information, you just gotta figure out, make sure you have every
The
single thing?
law makes it
It's
automatic.
mandated.
It's
But I mean,
mandated.
like, what if, for some reason, by accident or whatever have you, something's forgotten that's not given?
It's automatic dismissal.
Automatic dismissal.
Automatic dismissal. No ifs, ands, or buts, or we'll introduce it later. If they don't get their discovery packet and it's not accurate and complete. Now, there are provisions for extension in that time, specifically lab tests. New York State Lab just can't get results back within that 90-day time. The district attorney's office can make applications to extend that period. And a reasonable amount of time will be afforded, but again, right now, for us to get DNA evidence back takes a year. The courts are not going to allow a year for evidence results. And DNA may make or break a case.
I mean, is there like I guess what I'm asking, is there a mandatory list of things you have to provide, and then if there's additional things you have?
No, it's everything.
So it's
upfront.
just, every department has their own type of way of collecting evidence? Because
Correct.
I've read some stories that in some towns or wherever, they're actually shutting their cameras off on their cars
Correct.
now because they
So-
don't want it to be part of evidence.
So-
Which is not good. Because
Right.
that's-
So we do not have body-worn cameras, so let's take that as
Right.
a particular. So obviously with body-worn cameras, just hours and hours of video, that all has to be watched before it's copied and given to the defense attorney. So there's time in doing that. There's the cost in copying it. Then there's the cost of preserving it forever, because it's part of a criminal case. Now it has to be preserved forever. So they don't care that there's 15 hours. Say there's 10 officers there and they're all wearing body cameras and it's an hour-long incident. That's 10 hours of video that has to be copied and provided, still all within that days. And that's just for if it were Marlboro that had those cameras. Now we have an incident that involves the state police and the sheriff's department. The state police doesn't have cameras, but the sheriff's department does. It is intuitus onto Marlboro to contact the sheriff's office and to get their discovery information involving our incident. And commonly in this town, it's a multi-agency response. Just because the responsibility falls on the agency that actually makes the arrest. So if we have an incident that we end up turning over to the state police, the discovery is on state police. But then it means the state police will have to come back to me and get all our discovery. And for an example, we had I'm going to call it a minor arrest, but it took me 4.5 hours to collect just the audio and video discovery for that one particular arrest. And that responsibility can't be borne on the entire department. It falls on me and my 2 supervisors.
So
And
Jerry,
that's on top of everything that they already had to do, especially the 2 supervisors. They have, listed responsibilities that they're responsible for every day. Now we're adding, on top of those lists of responsibilities, plus they do patrol, now we're adding the responsibilities of this discovery, which takes hours. And it varies from month to month. Like last month we had 17 arrests. Next month we could have 30 arrests, or we could have 5. So it varies. But also so does the severity of the case. A minor traffic infraction, and somebody with a suspended driver's license, is not that big of a deal. It takes about 40 minutes to make the copies of the audio transmissions that we have to make. But we have a violent domestic where we end up arresting somebody, and it's significant with serious physical injury. You're talking several hours of work just to get the audio and video, radios and computer transmissions documented. Then there's the process of evidence and the processing of that evidence that all has to be provided. And then you have paperwork that has to be provided. This all has to get to the DA. I tell you 14 days. That's to the defense attorney. I still have to get it to the DA, who then turns it over to the defense attorney after the DA has the opportunity to go through it to make sure everything's there. So in that 14 days, it goes through multiple agencies to make sure it's ready for the defense attorney. And if something's missing, hey, we forgot to make copies of the tickets for the defense attorney. There's no, oh, we'll give them to you later. It's dismissed on the bench. There's no fixing it like there always was. You know, in court prior to January of 2020, the defense attorney would make application for that discovery, and there would be a hearing about it, and some discovery would be let in, some wouldn't be, and you'd get a list of what you had to provide, and you'd get a hardcore date that you had to provide it by. Today, that's all gone. You get it within 14 days, or it's dismissed.
And what, like, I mean, the original way of doing it sounds reasonable.
Right.
What was the reason
I
for
think
changing
there
it?
was a problem with people that couldn't provide bail, stayed in jail.
No, this
for-
isn't bail, this is discovery I'm asking.
Oh, discovery?
It was a bundled, it was
I
a
think
bundled bill.
It all came to play
Yep.
because of the bail.
It
But
was
it
a-
makes no sense. You go to court, then you figure out what you need to give them.
Well-
Like, why would you make the police departments do all this extra work, cost the towns, cities, states, counties, all this extra money that obviously they're gonna have to spend by copying this stuff, putting it on a disc, storing it somewhere, transporting it to the different parties, and if, God forbid, one thing is missing, some criminal can get out on the streets. It just makes no sense. This whole law, to me, makes no sense. I could see the sensibility of, okay, someone that doesn't have the means to pay bail, but you don't pass an entire legislation based on one little thing and put a bill together that makes no sense overall. I could understand they putting in something for someone that doesn't have money, but this makes no sense, and it's gonna cost you, the taxpayers of Marlboro, money, because what Jerry's getting at is he's gonna need another person to do this work. We've already talked about this in budget, and it's coming down the pike. So it's gonna cost you, the taxpayer of Marlboro, already, probably, I'm not saying right now, but we're gonna have to figure it out. It's gonna cost you, the taxpayers, more money. So
Well,
you can thank your state legislators for that.
That's why
I would,
brought it up.
I would say
I don't want it
that
to come up in November.
basically, as you first stated, Cuomo and I, myself and Councilman Baker have talked to Senator Skoufis about this. So just like any other law, I guess when they don't think it through and they're looking at one side, like Councilman Corcoran is saying, things happen. So we could only hope that they saw the light. And when talking to Senator Skoufis, we were talking about the financial side for the town. And he said that they were looking at putting some kind of implementation in there to take care of monies for the town. So, right now I think we have to live with it
Who
because,
pays for that?
So it just goes our state tax.
It comes out of some.
well, I'm saying,
This is one
so
of those things, you pass the bill before you read it.
well,
It's like, sounds like
That-
something else that
That's
was
the part of the
passed.
problem. I don't pretend to understand the legislative.
Pass a bill before you read it, although
Body,
now we
how
gotta
it
figure it
works.
out. Why don't you
But
read it
what-
before you pass it?
What I do believe.
well, that's a
happened-
lot of things that happen. Yeah, Scott, a lot of bills passed that are not really great bills, but then
Well, I guess we don't
during
have great
the
representation.
transfer, during the whole thing, maybe they make it better. So we could hopefully hope that our legislatures, my senators and assemblymen, do the right thing and take the heat. I mean, you must have been in contact with Skoufis or a bunch of people to voice your opinion about, what hardship this is causing the town and your department.
Yep, I have, and so as the Chiefs Association, and there are still meetings happening and things like that.
Have you seen his
Scott,
response, Drew?
What's that?
Have you seen Senator Skoufis' response? I mean, I know there's a Facebook post he put up regarding his position on this, and so he is pushing back, but,
No, I agree.
and I think it's gonna be a terrible backlog with the DA's office. I mean, I can't,
another thing.
I mean,
How's that gonna keep
how can
up?
they handle this stuff in
There's no way
13,
they're gonna
14
keep up.
days? They can't handle, that's
Well,
ridiculous.
what's going to end up happening is they're going to pick and choose cases which get prosecuted, which they know they can handle.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. It's
So
gonna be winnable,
going
but
back to the legislative process, I don't pretend to know the process,
I
but
don't either.
what I do know, or what I've been informed on, is that this law was drafted and put together with no input from the police community, the district attorneys, probation, no legal authority whatsoever.
that
So
makes
a
sense,
bunch of people drafted this, and they attached it to some sort of spending bill. And what we're finding out now is that many, including the governor, did not read the bill and understand its consequences. So the bill goes into effect 2020. Now everybody's up in arms over this, and there have been documented cases about people who've committed crimes, didn't get remanded, whereas prior to 2020 they would have been remanded, got released, and either hurt or killed people. And that, the attacks on the Hasidic Jews, that is a prime example of what could have been avoided. So now they're all stepping back and they're all saying, how did this get done? How did this get done? And everybody's crossing their fingers going like this.
Right.
The mere fact is, everybody knows it's a problem. I do believe that there's going to be change coming from it. I don't think that change is going to be beneficial to us and what we do here. I do believe it'll be beneficial to the victims. The new law is so broad. Victims' information gets provided to the defense attorneys and the defendant, all within 14 days. The new law allows for the suspects to go back to the crime scene. If that crime scene is a victim's house, go back inside that victim's house and review the crime scene. It's just insane, some of the stuff that was put in there.
How do they pass these things?
And that's
How
the
does
big
these things
question,
pass?
because none of them read it.
So what happens to, like, your phone? You take your
I just-
phone,
it's
person use it, or
That's correct.
phone, person use it?
Correct. So, under the new discovery laws, I use my personal cell phone with a stipend from the town because I didn't want a secondary phone. I get a call from Sergeant Pascal on a case that he's on. My phone and his phone can now be brought into discovery, and the defense can have my phone and his phone seized, and now they have free access to everything else that's in that phone. They don't get to just look at their little spot. They get to look at everything that's in the phone, which creates problems. We have policies that we're working on to prevent officers from using their phone, but at this day and age, and especially in this town, radios don't work all the time.
That's right.
It created so many different levels of issues for not just Town of Marlboro Police Department, but every police department in the state of New York. And there are various ways people are dealing with it. Some people are turning off their video camera systems inside the station. Some people are getting rid of their car video. I had conversation with Supervisor Lanzetta about shutting off our phone line recording system, because this is all stuff you have to provide. But if you don't have it and don't maintain it, you don't have to provide it. Then you look at the other side of the coin. What benefits do we have by maintaining these systems versus just not having them because you don't want to just comply with discovery? So there comes a factor in there you have to evaluate. After many discussions, Supervisor Lanzetta and myself decided that we would maintain the systems we could for right now, and at a later time determine whether or not we should still continue to maintain them. A lot of other agencies are handling it different ways. I'm taking my advice from the district attorney's office at this point. And they're basically saying maintain everything and comply with the discovery and talk to your town board about getting more funding. Easier said than, well, it's very easy to talk to the town board. It's easier said than done. We can talk to them, blue in the face.
Get more funds.
And that's where we are with that. To be continued.
Thank you.
So, one more question though, Jerry, about I'm sorry, the thing about the cameras that gets me, that aggravates me to no end. If a police officer now feels like he can't put on that camera because he doesn't want to be hindered by having to deal with the paperwork that's involved in it, I feel that the police officer now is being put in jeopardy more, because when people start to realize they're not being videoed,
Well,
they're going to be more emboldened to do things
so departments that
to officers.
the officer doesn't, departments that have video cameras, the officer itself doesn't have an option to turn on the camera or not. Administration dictates policy on the camera usage. And for example, Ulster County Sheriff's Department, they do not turn their cameras off. They're on, period, 24/7. You're out on duty, you have a body camera on. Same thing with their in-car camera systems, things like that. We never got body cameras. We looked to fund body cameras. We tried different avenues. It didn't work out. Ultimately, I decided that way before bail reform came in, way before that ultimately I thought we couldn't afford to maintain, not purchase, because everybody gives grants to purchase cameras. Nobody gives grants to maintain the backroom storage, and that's where your cost comes in.
It's storage, right?
Correct. Whether you do cloud storage, whether you store it here locally, it still all needs to be managed. One, we don't have the manpower to do that. Two, the storage capabilities that we have in our current server we would have to have a separate server system just for the cameras. Or you have to pay
Video's a lot
a
of
monthly
data.
fee to do it in the cloud, and then you have access issues and management software that you have to pay for. So it's a very expensive endeavor. So we never did that, but there are a lot of other agencies that have, and so the individual officer, Scott, doesn't have the opportunity to say,
Yeah.
I'm turning my camera off, turning my camera on.
But have you heard of any
There's,
senior the higher-ups turning them off, we're not using the system anymore?
well, I know Town of Lloyd has shut off various cameras in their station. That I know from speaking with Chief Wage. Other agencies have indicated they've stopped doing certain things to make it easier for them to comply with the order, because they're under financial restrictions too.
Right.
But just to show you how tedious the law is, not only do we have, so in Marlboro, we have a booking room camera that records the place where we bring the defendant in. And by the way, I'm sorry if the law doesn't call them defendants anymore, they're principals. You're not allowed to use defendant. We bring the principal in and we process them, and there's a dedicated camera that was provided through a grant to record that processing. That's part of discovery, so we make that copy. We are also required under the law to make copies of the surveillance video systems that we have set up in the station. So every camera that defendant, principal, walks through, they get a copy of every snippet of each camera while they're in it. That includes from the second they're unloaded from the police car to the second they walk out the front door. And I'm responsible for it. Court cameras. I'm responsible for getting that information and providing it with discovery. And this all takes time. I can't just come and copy the court cameras. I have to make a request to that department, and then they have to fulfill it when they can. But I'm still limited to that 14 days. So if I know that camera exists and I can't provide it within 14 days, the best I can do is say that evidence exists and it's been preserved, and you can make arrangements to get it when it's convenient for you.
And how long are we, I know you told me this before, but how long are we looping our cameras right now? How long are we keeping data?
So the booking room video is a separate system that maintains for 40 days. The surveillance system, which is a 9-camera system, maintains for 7 days.
So we got to do that stuff like ASAP.
Well, I can tell you the
obviously.
surveillance camera system we got is hanging on by its last leg.
Yeah, so-
That's a replacement time. I did look into upgrading the booking room camera system. That system was $5,700 to get the first time, which we got through a DA's grant. And honestly, it works. I just don't see how we're going to, I don't say that. We could probably figure it out during budget season, but however, I personally feel there are many more priorities than replace a system that still works. Granted, we don't have so the way we prolong the booking room video data is I burn DVDs of every arrest. So regardless if the system loops over, I've already burned a permanent retention copy of that video. Yes, it's costing us a fortune in DVDs. Since January 1st, I've gone through 2 100-pack sleeves of DVD, because it's not just one DVD for each case. I make 3 of every recordable piece of evidence. 1 for the district attorney's office, 1 for the case, I'm sorry, I make 4. 1 for the case folder, 1 for the district attorney's office, 2 for the defense counsel.
Is that why today you were requesting DVD burners?
Yes. We're looking to replace computers with no DVD burners, but I have to make
Now it's
the
coming into
Yes.
play. See,
I just realized in that
I'm just
closing.
making, because I was telling to the public, like, there's been a lot of requests from the chief that's coming down the pike for monies. And it all relates, a lot of it relates back to this law. So we're going to have very good discussion on Friday.
I'm sure we will.
We will.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jerry. That's why
Thanks,
I brought
Jerry,
it up.
for
I
all
want
the
to keep
input.
everybody informed of what this means to the town.
John, you have to follow him.
John, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, too.
Welcome, John. Welcome, first meeting.
Is this the last report with Gail's name on it? Yep. It's pretty sad.
Name on it because of-
It's the last one. I said it's the last one with his name on it. It's kind of sad.
So the monthly report for December of 2019. On roads, we did road patrols throughout the month, cleaning ditches, basins, and doing cold patch repairs in both hamlets. We replaced old no parking signs throughout the hamlet of Marlboro, which now require HIP signs. So drainage, we cleaned ditches on North Road, Mahoney Road, and Bingham Road. For brush and weeds on 1226, we did tree work by 410 Old Indian Road, and we started with our Christmas tree pickup on 1230. On snow and ice, on 1221, the forecast was for a major snowstorm with 5 to 8 inches and black ice. We did receive 8 inches, and Governor Cuomo declared a state of emergency for Ulster County. On 12/4, we removed snow around Western Avenue and King Street. On 12/5, we did snow removal on Main Street in Milton. On 12/11, forecast was for 3 inches of snow with rain, creating slippery conditions, and school had a delay in opening. On 12/16, a snow developed, changing to a wintry mix, causing hazardous road conditions that caused the schools to close on Tuesday. And on 12/17, the forecast was for light rain, but it became sleet and snow. And on 12/30 of the month, about a half an inch of snow fell. Water Department, on 12/6, we assisted the Water Department with a water main break on Hudson Terrace and assisted in repairing the road. And on 12/27, we again assisted the Water Department with a water main break on Young Avenue. So fuel usage was gasoline was 165 gallons, and diesel was 1,696 gallons of diesel.
Thank you, John. Any questions
How was that?
for
Good?
Superintendent Alonji?
What do you think about bail reform? No. I'm kidding.
You're done with this question.
You're done.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Not now. Thank you. Charlie, Water Department.
Here
Good
comes
evening.
Here comes the veteran.
How you all doing? The monthly report for December, water consumption totaled 15.745 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 509,000 a day. Compared to last month's consumption, 15.250 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 508,000 a day. Compared to a year ago, our water consumption was 14.250 million gallons for the month and a daily usage of 459,000. Summary for the month, water mains, we had to repair a 6-inch water main on Young Avenue with the help of the Highway Department. Hydrants, we had to repair and replace snow markers. We also had to rebuild a hydrant on South Road. Service line, we had to repair a service line on Hudson Terrace with the help of the Highway Department. We also inspected a service line on Orchard View Drive. Curb boxes, we had to repair curb boxes on Grant Street. Service line inspections, we had 1, closings 8 for the month, markouts 25, gallons of gas 270, and the mileage for the month is 1,660. I also have a summary for the year of 2019. Our water consumption totaled 190 million gallons, 650,000 million gallons for the year. Our monthly usage average was 15.887,000 gallons, which is a daily usage of 522.331 per day. Compared to 218, our usage was 178.2 million gallons for the year, with a monthly usage of 14.8 million gallons, and our daily usage was 438,700 per day. Water mains, in 2019, we had 9 major water main breaks. Compared to 2018, we had 10. Hydrant repairs, we had 9 hydrants, of which were hit by motor vehicles. Last year's, there was only 8, and 3 of which were hit by motor vehicles. Service lines, we had to repair 23. Compared to 2018, we had to repair 19. Valves, we repaired 6 valves in 2019, and in 2018, there was 4 valves. Sewer backups, we had 6 sewer backups compared to 4 in 2018. Closings, we had 65 closings in 2019 and 55 closing in 2018. Markouts, we had 450 in 2019, and in 2018, we had 465.
You had a good year, Charlie, or a bad year?
Busy here.
Some of it was good and some of it was
It was bad.
bad.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Very much, Charlie.
Good job. Colleen?
Colleen, you gotta do both. You gotta move it down and talk.
Town Clerk Monthly Report for December 2019. Burn permits, 1 for $40. Conservation, 1 for $1.66. Dog licenses, 12 for $60. Transfer station permits, 4 for $255. Punch cards, 33 for $1,900. Marriage licenses, 1 for $1,750. Building fees, 1 for $18,331.50. Fire fees, 1 for $725. Accident reports, 12 for $70. Certified copies, 6 for $110. Police fees, 2 for $30, for a grand total of $21,540.66.
Thank you, Colleen. Any questions for Colleen?
How's tax season going, Carl?
Tax season's going good. I've collected over $1 million so far.
Million?
And I'm gonna be giving Chris a check tomorrow. And it's going well. It's busy.
Good.
It's always busy, but
It's tax season.
it's tax time. And I'll be open this Saturday and next Saturday for people that can't get to me, so I usually stay open.
What time you open Saturday?
9 to 12.
9 to 12. Hear that? 9 to 12. You can pay your
I do
taxes
that
on
every year,
Saturday.
just in case people can't come.
We
so-
do that every year, right? We
What's
stay
that?
open Saturdays for
Yeah,
the
I do
convenience of
that.
people that,
Yeah, I do that for the last 2 weeks of the month, so people that can't come, they could come to see me.
that's a good thing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Water quality management from Mr. Falcon. For the month of December 2019, both the Marlboro and Milton wastewater treatment plants complied with all the speedies requirements. The following are monthly statistics for both plants. Marlboro WWTP, average daily flow is 158,000 gallons per day, about 90% of design capacity. Average BOD removal is 99%. Average suspended solid removal is 99%. Permit requires at least 85% removal for both. Milton WWTP average daily flow is 38,000 gallons per day, about 69% of design capacity. Average BOD removal, 91%. Average suspended solids removal, 87%. Permit requires at least 85% removal for both. Both systems have adjusted to the colder temperatures and are no longer experiencing issues with total suspended solids. We had rapid pump and meter replaced, a motor starter in the electrical panel, and motor for one of the screw pumps at Marlboro. Other than that, the plants are operating normally. In the near future, we need a design engineered for the dechlorination system that the DEC is mandating for Milton. So please contact us with any concerns, and that's Julian Falcon. Falco, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Falcon.
Al, have we heard anything from Larios?
We have not.
Can we-
We're trying to put together phase 2 of the 9W corridor, and I've mentioned this a couple of times about the Marlboro system, and talked about where we could get grants to upgrade the Marlboro and Milton system, and I'll follow again through tomorrow. I'll let you know what he says. Again, I've been bugging him. I've been bugging him about the dam dequalification. So we spent some money on that already, and I haven't heard anything from the DEC or Dennison on that either. So those are a few things on the plate that we want to get resolved. Town of Marlboro dog control. You want to read that, Ed?
Sure. Town of Marlboro Dog Control monthly report for December. We received a total of 30 calls this month, including 8 calls to service from Marlboro Police Department, State Police, and Ulster County Sheriff. Responded to 6 active complaints and/or cases which are now closed or resolved. We currently have 1 open case that has been addressed but are ongoing or unresolved. We impounded 1 dog this month. There are 0 dog bites reported this month. We currently have 1 dog in the kennel. We have 1 case in the Marlboro Justice Court at this time. We received exceptionally high volume of calls this month related to dogs left out in the extreme cold temperatures. These complaints, which involve animal cruelty, which is a misdemeanor or felony, were referred to the Ulster County SPCA. I did follow up with the SPCA and can confirm that these welfare complaints were addressed and resolved. I would like to thank the SPCA Humane officers for addressing these matters. End of report. It's Andrew McKee, Dog Control Officer.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome.
Scott, could you read the assessor's
Yep.
report, please?
All right. Town Assessor's Report from Cindy Hilbert. We prepared 5 property tax estimates. We processed 24 real property tax transfers. We're continuing to work on collecting our new construction and verifying our sales data. We recently mailed out the solar wind exemptions applications to everyone that has a solar wind energy system installed. We received notification from the State Department of Taxation and Finance. There were some property owners, 171, that may qualify for age senior exemption in the town because of their low income. We mailed out new exemption forms to all these individuals. The final deadlines for this year only for all exemptions in the town is Monday, March 2nd, 2020.
Thank you, Councilman Corcoran. Councilman Baker, would you like to read the,
It's got it easier.
Yes.
You got it easier with
Town of Marlboro Planning Board review, December 2019. The December 2nd meeting was canceled due to weather, as John told us just before. And then the meeting on December 16th was attended by Chris Brand, Manny Cauchi, Steve Clark, Cindy Lanzetta, Joe LaFaro, Ben Trapani, Joel Troncali. The agenda, first item on the agenda was the Smith subdivision on First Street in Milton. Extension requested for that subdivision. The applicant requested and received unanimous approval for a 90-day extension to the conditional final approval for the project via resolution. The next item was Griner BSD Realty, New York, 96 Idlewild Road, Marlboro. Sketch and subdivision lot line approval were requested. The applicant's representative appeared with revised plans which would create 4 lots. The revisions created new questions regarding access to the newly created Lot 2 due to road frontage. The board's attorney will seek legal ramifications of the proposal. In addition, the applicant's representative was advised the current water taking use, which was previously approved on the resulting Lot 1, will no longer have 10 acres and will no longer be permitted as a use for that site plan, as no amended site plan application has been received as part of the subdivision application. The previous approval for that site plan will be invalid based on the filing of the subdivision map. The applicant will return at the next meeting with clarification on these issues and seek to schedule a public hearing when appropriate. Note, Board Member Joe LaFaro thanked Member Troncali for his 10-plus years of service on the Town of Marlboro Planning Board. Mr. Troncali, who will not seek reappointment, was thanked for his efforts by all. Next deadline, Friday, December 20th. Next scheduled meeting, January 6th, 2020. Respectfully submitted, Chris Brand.
thank you, Councilman Baker.
You're welcome.
So let's go to report of the committees. Like I stated, Recreation Committee, we're waiting for nice weather to return and finish the all-inclusive playground at the park, Cluett Chance Memorial Park. Also, we have a meeting coming up with Marlboro Baseball to discuss the 2 fields, right? That's tomorrow. South Field and the North Field. Now both have drainage, so I try to utilize those 2 fields. Al, you have anything on? You like to add anything to that?
The only thing I was talking to you about was trying to utilize the garages at Tomback for batting cages for the fall season now, or should I say the winter season. So I'm still trying to find people to be able to get a netting for this. So if the board's okay with that, I'm looking into, because we got 3 bays sitting empty, right?
Right.
Well, they're going to be empty, John. They're going to be. And a lot of people have been asking about utilizing the space for
You're going to bring it up tomorrow
things
night?
like that. So that's one thing I'm gonna bring up tomorrow night, absolutely.
That'd be good.
So, we're
Okay.
looking at utilizing the space that we have, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Just keep in mind that if we want to do any clearing out at Tomback or the Highway Department building, those guys should be available for indoor work, the sheriff's office guys.
Oh, that's a good point. We've been talking about that. The Emergency Management Preparedness Committee, Al, anything?
Just updated it last week.
Okay.
Good.
The CAC, we have a resolution to, because of this discussion about the 9W corridor, we just don't want the overlay zone. We want the whole corridor to be, people to look at the design standards, and that was brought up by the board, so we made changes to the resolution. I did. Okay, we're going to meet on Friday with the IT committee. That should be an interesting time.
Jerry, you're banned.
Milton Train Station Foundation, I believe they're going to meet. As you know, unfortunately, we didn't receive a CFA grant. We were very disappointed. Rosemary Wine, Howard Baker, and Jerry Wine, and John Behan put a lot of work into that. It was a little discouraging. We had you would like to talk about that update, the conversation we had?
We had a debriefing meeting with the New York State Department of State, who oversaw that application for improvements to the lower park, Milton Landing, lower park, last week, and they reviewed the application. Bottom line, it's a great application. They took a couple of points off on certain sections, which we will try to remedy next year. And when we apply for this again, this is the fourth time we'll be applying for it. They didn't discourage us at all. They told us to reapply, and I think we have to do a little work with the local regional folks in New Windsor, Megan Taylor's group, to make sure they understand the importance of this, and we'll get that done before we submit the next application. So,
Thank you,
as far as
Howard.
I'm concerned, we're not going to give up on this.
No, we're not.
Right.
Thank you for your efforts. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that really has something to do with Milton Landing. I think the Milton Landing Committee is going to meet, Alan?
Yeah, we got a meeting date set up on give me 1 second here. I think it's gonna be the 29th.
I think
it's
around there.
29th. I'll let you know before that meeting.
It's at 7 o'clock at the Milton Fire Department, right? Okay. Marlboro Hamlet Economic Development Committee, hopefully we could start that up again. We have a couple of new members, one new member, so maybe we could get that going again. That'd be great. Part of that Marlboro Hamlet Economic Development Committee is a subcommittee, which is the Trail Committee. Would you like to talk about that, Howard?
Just that we're going to have a meeting tomorrow afternoon to start talking about sort of shifting the focus from the Latintown Creek Trail to the Christian Hill Trail on the land that we have access to now through Tilcon, and hopefully put together an amended grant application to get some work done there.
So the information you sent us, are you abandoning the Latintown Trail, I guess,
Well,
is that what you're kind of?
What we did was we got a grant from Greenway, but we never really executed on that grant, and we asked for an extension, still weren't making enough progress because of the complexity of it. So we asked for, please, we basically turned that back to them. We said, we're not going to do that. We would like to focus on an easier project, basically, the Tilcon Christian Hill project. So, and they are okay with that. And we officially sent a letter to them saying, we're not going to do this, but we'd like to do this.
Right.
They understand that. But they came back in conversations with Al, this is Greenway, and said, we'd really like that lease to be longer. So that's why Al went after that lease, got it increased from 10-year to 25-year on that property.
That makes sense.
So we got that piece done. So now we can focus on trying to get something done on a piece of property that, it's all kind of within our control.
Right.
So, talking to the head of the Greenway, Scott Keller, he says this happens more than a lot of people think about it when other towns realize that, you know, once they get into the nitty-gritty, that they really can't complete the grant. So it's no blemish on us at all. He says, fine. That's when the conversation came into the other trail. We had a 10-year lease with Tilcon. He said usually they like a 25, 30-year lease. So I called the people up in Tilcon, and they were gracious enough to send a new lease with 25 years. Matter of fact, I signed it today. So that should be great. That should be moving forward. Hopefully, once we meet and get the grant going, it'll be a good thing.
So that committee, just so you know, that's Steve Osborne, Tony Falco, Matt Kierstead, myself, Al. I mean, anybody can come. It's 4 o'clock on tomorrow at the Falcon.
Thank you.
Al, what date is the 23rd?
It's the
23rd at 7.
23rd at 7 at the
Firehouse.
Fire Department. Thank you. Meet me in Marlboro? I haven't heard from Sheila.
Right there.
There he is. Come on up. BJ, how are you, sir? Happy New Year to you.
Comes all the time.
They're men.
Well, we had a pretty good past 6 weeks, but then Christmas got in the way, so we didn't get too many things done. However, we're looking at a better brochure distribution. The parkways as well as the interstates in the area, they are more than willing to take our brochures for money, which is an interesting thing that we are trying to get people in here, and they want to charge us when we put brochures in their various rest stops and gas stations and so forth. But that's how the cookie crumbles. That's what we have to live with. We are also working very hard on upgrading the website. That's what everybody, of course, is saying these days because you can't keep up with it. There are always new things to be put on there. And the interesting new thing that's happening is that the places where you can sleep, the hotels, Airbnbs, and so forth, they have, to a degree, put some small packages together to attract, obviously, to attract people coming in here. However, Meet Me in Marlboro as an organization is now working on trying to get bigger packages put together, where it's not just sleeping and eating, but activities in the area. There are a lot more things here than most of us realize, and it's a big job, but we will get it done. Especially, it goes hand in hand with redesigning the website. So clearly, brochures are, in a sense, a necessary evil, whereas the website is, of course, where everything is at. Whether it's various links to the website, etc. It's important. The farm trail that we worked hard on and got some years ago, we really haven't capitalized on it at this point, and that's what we're working on. We also have something new that was discussed just this afternoon, a passport, pretty much what a U.S. passport looks like, a passport for Meet Me in Marlboro. And the idea is to sell this passport and for all our members, merchants, members overall in the whole area, to have a stamp or a sticker to put into this passport as people, that's as an example, they're coming to the Falcon and they're having dinner, and they will get a stamp a sticker in the passport saying they have been to this location, and every time they come in there, they will get a sticker. They will go to the bakery, they will get a sticker, etc., etc. So as they reach 50 stickers, they have now filled their passport. And they can hand in this passport and get a brand-new passport for free. So it's $50 to purchase the passport. The moment the passport is full, it's being returned to us, and we give them one free of charge. This, I believe, is going to work quite well. The merchants have shown a great interest in it, and we will see what. It's going to take a few months to obviously to get this all in place, but we hope to have it in place by the summer season. We are, as always, of course, still talking about the waterfront, and a question about the train station came up. We would like to have, like, as you know, Lions, Rotary, various organizations have a big sign outside a restaurant, say we meet here every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We would like to have the train station as our meeting place on a regular basis, year-round. And we would assume that we could do that for free, being that we are a non-for-profit organization. I know that our fees being charged for the station in case you want to have a big party or
There's
something.
no problem. All you have to do is show the clerk some insurance certificate and, you
Yeah.
know, tell her what times you want to do it, and
Right,
you have to go see the clerk, and there
Yeah.
should be no problem.
good.
We do meetings only during the week, though. We don't do any meetings on the weekends, because we could rent it. So
Yeah, this is all going to be
it would be during the week.
middle of the afternoon,
Okay. Yeah, just
every
give us a
3 or 4
call.
weeks or something.
Okay.
Good. And the workshop coming up here on the 27th of this month, we really know way too little about it. What's the format? Who's going to be here, and et cetera, et cetera. Is there something I can pick up somewhere, or
It's
or
just-
it just takes 2 seconds to explain it to me?
It's just that the second meeting of the month, we call it a workshop. It's sort of an open, this meeting, we go through all this stuff. The workshop meeting, the second one, we don't. So we can dedicate more time to a specific topic. That was the idea behind that, I think. So if we wanted to have more of a dialogue with you guys, it would be more appropriate in a workshop meeting. That's it. I mean,
All
there's
right,
no,
so-
it's loose. I mean, there's no,
So we can invite our members here, of course.
yes, if that's,
You
yeah.
really have, but the first stage is to send something to the supervisor so I could put you on the agenda,
Yeah,
Okay,
if you're going to do a presentation.
all right.
it's kind of up to you.
It's pretty easy.
And there will be other companies here as well?
No,
This is dedicated to Meet Me in Marlboro on that
just
day?
could dedicate it to Meet Me in Marlboro, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I'm
Yeah, we
just,
do a lot, the workshop gives us an opportunity to talk about things that
Sure.
usually, different laws or whatever, or different situations that we haven't
Good.
really gotten together and talked about.
yeah, that's very good. We appreciate that initiative, because we often feel like we're doing our little, well, we also feel sometimes we don't really get the word out properly.
So you would kind of request, you and I had spoken about this, and you kind of requested a time to meet more closely with the board, and that's why we discussed doing it on a workshop meeting. So that's, whatever you want to do in terms of the format is
Good.
kind of up to you guys. That's my thinking on it.
Right.
Okay.
All right, well, that's really all I have for this evening, so thank you
Didn't
very
you
much.
receive a member item from Jonathan Jacobson for some banners? That's what I hear. Is that true?
You received
$7,000.
$7,000, and I think Sheila's looking at doing boulevard banners with that money. Has she spoken to you about that?
I haven't heard it, but that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
didn't happen, of course. But Sheila might have information on that.
She's looking into it, utilizing some existing poles where the Lions Club puts up their Christmas decorations and maybe some other poles. So,
But we are talking about also is the signs at both ends of the town on Route 9W.
yeah, that's,
To,
those
to get
signs,
rid of them,
okay.
Because they're totally useless,
Yes.
really are. I mean, you can't read anything. You can't read and drive at the same time.
Right.
So that's, we will see what comes out of that, but
You would like an electronic sign, right? Right, on
yeah, that would be good.
on Round Pond,
There's
right?
no question about that, but not at each end of the town. Yeah, I know what you're looking to. That's,
They're banned.
so,
Thank you.
yeah, you want.
Appreciate it.
No. Yeah.
Anything about the Hamilton Milton Association Committee, Al?
I haven't heard really much from them. I think they took down their decorations, or they're going to be taking them down. That's about it. You have to-
Transfer Station Review Committee, Howard?
Yes, definitely. No, nothing right now.
No report?
No.
So going to old business, the Tom Vac rehabilitation update. Like I said in the message, that all the three member items have been filled out, and they're in the hands of, they're in the hands of DASNY now, so they go through that. No, so I try to explain to people, and it's pretty hard. I could understand their frustration with government and stuff like that. But once we get the okay, the letter saying you've been awarded $250,000 or $375,000, the check doesn't come in the mail the next day. It just doesn't work that way with the government. So it takes usually, if you're lucky, it takes a year. So hopefully, we filled out the first application for Frank Scartano's member item for $250,000 the first 2 months before the Scoofus and Jacobson. So hopefully that'll come in the later part of this year, where we could do all the engineering and stuff like that, and then following up, hopefully, in 2020, we could start that project. But like I said, it's frustrating to people, because especially the seniors, they've been looking to get out of there, and a couple of people approached me today and saying, you know, we don't trust government anymore. And I was trying to explain to them that it just takes that long to receive all this money. Even the $50,000 for the, it actually started with Senator Larkin, but something went awry there, and Senator Scoofus asked me if I really needed it, and I said, yes, I appreciate it, James. So we went through James, and even with that, it takes a year. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. LWRP, we constantly keep on working on this. Hopefully we got it nailed. I saw some correspondence between Barbara Howard and myself and Rosemary Wine. There's another thing with government. The Milton Turnpike Crossroad, we keep on talking about it. Ice skating rink, Al, anything on that, or?
I just got to order it, but I kind of thought about it this week when it was 60 degrees. But it's not four-wheeling with my daughter. I just got to order it. I got to get the stuff ordered. Just the holidays got me all screwed up.
Okay, no problem. Maybe it's something that we should table for next year.
I'm kind of wondering that. I don't know how this winter's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
We're middle of January now.
yeah,
We're going to get one more month.
yeah,
Maybe order it in the spring, like Eddie said, just this year.
okay.
Just,
So, I hate to bring it up every
just take
meeting. Let's,
table,
give me a motion to table the ice skating rink for 2020, you know, at the end of 2020 for December.
You might want to try to look to see if they got a springtime, just like when you buy a swimming pool at the end of the year to see the.
Yeah, but I mean, to install it and everything, it
But
probably,
I mean, actually purchasing it.
well,
yeah, I mean, we would.
we already allocated the money.
Right, but I mean, we may be able to get a better deal and not have to use it.
Yeah.
If we allocate the money, we can buy it
Well,
and put it up
the
next
point in, do you want to keep it on there, or you just want to,
year. Keep it on one more month. If I don't order it,
Okay.
we'll take
They
it.
don't buy it.
okay. No new business? Any new business? No. Moving right along. So correspondence, I do have a couple correspondence. So one of them is for the Marlboro Youth Baseball and Softball. You're aware of this, right, Colleen? Marlboro
Baseball, yeah, to
Youth
use the
Baseball and Softball would like to secure the use of the town park on April the 11th, 2020, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. for MYBS Opening Day festivities, festival. If possible, we would ask the rental fee to be waived in order for us to better plan and fund the event. Is that April 11th open?
It's in the book, yeah.
It's in the book. So I need approval from the board to waive the fee.
I make the motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. So here's another request to reserve Cluett Chance Memorial Park for a 5K walk-run event in memory of this individual, Emily McDowell's brother, Ben McDowell, who passed away last year. I would like to have this event on Saturday, June the 6th, 2020. This memorial event would mean a lot to me and my family in order to honor my brother's memory and raise awareness for dramatic brain injury like the one he experienced. Is that also on the book?
We have it, Pennsylvania.
Okay. So what would the board's preference on that, to waive the fees? I mean, they're just going to run, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with just waiving the fees, yeah.
Okay. I need a second on that. I don't think they asked to use the pavilion. I think they just asked to use the park.
I think they're going to want to. She just wanted to run it by you first to see if you're okay with it, and then she.
Yeah, the board's okay with it. Absolutely.
Even if they use the pavilion, I stand,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
So the board would waive the fee. Motion by Councilman Koenig, second by
I'll second.
Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. James, do you have any public comment? I'm sorry I had to cut you off during Mr. Alonji's presentation or talk.
First, I'd like to thank the board for electing me to the planning board. Thank you very much, but you have not gotten rid of me. You may have muffled me on certain development projects, which may go before the town board and then go to the planning board. But I'd like to thank you anyway. I'd also like to thank the highway department and the water department. They did a very expeditious and nice job on Young Avenue. Fortunately, all the work got done well before the school was going to reopen. So this was a very fortunate timing and a very quick response to get this work done. With regard to resolution number 30, I was surprised that the planning board wasn't mentioned in that resolution. Maybe the planning board will have an opportunity to make comments when the town codes are amended.
James, this thing has been around for a year, so the planning board has seen the design standards.
Yeah, well, it'd be
They've
nice if they would
approved
be
it.
mentioned in it too,
Well,
in the resolution.
yes, okay,
That's all.
okay.
I was also wondering, with regard to these new requirements on the police department, if these requirements would also apply to the animal control officer having to give information when there is evidence of wrongdoing in dealing with animals.
We could ask that to the chief. Is that your last question, or?
That is my last question.
Thank
I do
you.
hope to speak to the highway superintendent after the meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, James. Chief? Okay, we'll find out, James. That's a good question. Thank you. Any other public comment? Good. So let's go to the resolutions. I see two police officers back there. They look tired.
Justin's been standing for an hour and a half. You know, we have a lot of seats, Justin.
So just bear with us. We're almost there.
Youth is great.
So Resolution 28. This is to establish a capital reserve fund to be known as the Police Vehicle Reserve Fund. Basically, gentlemen, it's to put some money in there in this fund, so this way we could buy police cars. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm sure you have. So In essence, that's what it is.
And this was recommended by an audit or something? Is that
This
it?
is recommended by our auditors and Christine Wilco, and also myself and Scott.
Yep.
We agree with this. This is a great way of doing it.
Yep.
So, Colleen?
Supervisor Lanzetta,
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
And Resolution 29 is actually the same thing, establishing a capital reserve fund to be known as the Highway Heavy Equipment Reserve Fund. Resolved that pursuant to Section 6A of the General Municipal Law, as amended, there is hereby established a capital reserve fund known as the Highway Heavy Equipment Reserve Fund, hereafter Reserve Fund. The purpose of the reserve fund is to accumulate monies to finance the cost of a type of equipment. The type of equipment to be financed from the reserve fund is the acquisition of heavy equipment. So basically, that's what the 28 is with the police car. Resolution 29 is similar to that, to establish a capital fund, and moves for its adoption.
Supervisor Lanzetta,
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Amendment to the Resolution 91 to accept Route 9W design guidelines without the planning board. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following. I'm sorry, James, just couldn't help it. Whereas the Marlboro Town Board adopted the provisions for the Route 9W Business Corridor, the BC zone, and whereas the Town Board stated that it would develop design guidelines to accompany the BC zone development, and whereas the Town Board directed the Town Conservation Advisory Council to create such guidelines, and whereas the Town Board reviewed those guidelines and directed changes to the satisfaction of the board members' inclination for economic development in line with community standards and aesthetics, and whereas the town board meeting, whereas at the town board meeting on December 9th, 2019, the board had adopted Resolution 91 to accept the final draft 2019 Route 9W design guidelines, but noted that the resolution did not encompass all zoning along the Route 9W. Be resolved that the town of Marlborough accepts the final draft 2019 for the Route 9W design guidelines and directs that the guidelines be made available to the public online and application who apply for site plans in all zones, including BC, along the Route 9W corridor, and directs the supervisor to engage legal counsel to develop language so that the town board might amend the town code for compliance with the design guidelines, and moves for its adoption.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution 31, to ratify a memorandum of agreement for a successor collective bargaining agreement between the town of Marlborough and the Marlborough Town Police Benevolent Association for part-time police. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following, whereas the town of Marlborough and the Marlborough Town Police Benevolent Association, Inc., which is the PBA, are parties to a collective bargaining agreement, CPA, that expired on December 31st, 2018. And whereas the town and the PBA have reached the agreement on the terms for a successor CBA for the period of January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2023, and whereas such successor terms are set for fourth memorandum of agreement attached to this resolution, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Marlborough hereby ratifies the MOA attached to this resolution, and be it further resolved that this town supervisor is authorized to execute any documentation necessary to effect this ratification. Foregoing resolution was voted upon with all council members voting as follows.
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution to ratify a memorandum of agreement for a successor collective bargaining agreement between the town of Marlborough and the Marlborough Town Police oh man. Hold on.
Take a sip.
Benevolent Association, thank you, Incorporated for Marlborough Town Office. Supervisor proposes the following, whereas the town of Marlborough and the Marlborough Town Police Benevolent Association, PBA, I'm going to say, are parties to collective bargaining agreement, CBA, that expired on December the 31st, 2018, and whereas the town PBA have reached the agreement on the terms for a successor, CBA, for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2023, and whereas such successor terms are set forth in the memorandum of agreement attached to this resolution. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Marlborough hereby ratifies the MOA attached to this resolution, and it be further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute any documentation necessary to effect this ratification. The foregoing resolution was voted upon with all council members voting as follows.
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes.
Councilman Molinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
Gentlemen,
They got the contract
so
in
we
hand, sign
got
it.
right here.
Depends out.
How are you?
All right, Justin, got it done. Thank you, sir. Bob. Thank you, sir. Okay, knock this thing over.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Get the accountants going.
So that was a 5-year deal, so we're done to 2023. Alan, you have anything to say?
Yeah, and bring one thing up. I'd just like to make a motion for adjournment. That's okay?
All in favor? So moved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Go.